Welcome to Crossing Darkness, a podcast about tabletop role-playing games with a focus on the world of darkness. We are broadcasting over Twitch every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time and are open to answering questions from chat during the show. I'm your host, Frozen Fallout. My co-host is Motor Rory, who helped me create this podcast, as well as a 40-person, 4-table Gen Con event. How's it going, Mike?
Pretty good. Hi, everybody. This is Season 3, episode Twin Cities by Night. Today we have a special guest, Chris Zac, from the podcast Twin Cities by Night. Chris, how have these dark nights been treating you? And go ahead and tell us all about the snow.
I can't hear him. Can you get?
Oh, you can't hear him?
I can't hear. Yeah, I can't hear him.
Oh, interesting.
Did
I mute you by accident?
Wait, Josh, can you hear me?
I can hear you,
yep.
It's weird. I can hear you, but I can't hear him.
I must be muted on his stream. Have him right-click on my...
Try right-clicking on him. See if you're muting him.
Yeah, let me see. He's Motor Rory, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, wait, he can't hear me.
Yeah, he's not muted.
Moto, try disconnecting and reconnecting.
Yeah.
Well, hey, everyone.
So how are these dark nights treating you here? Well, wait, here.
All right, can you hear me now? He's
nope.
not hearing me.
I don't think he's hearing you.
Yeah. I can't hear him, yeah.
That is so weird that you can hear me, but you can't hear him.
Wait, no, he could hear me before.
Let me leave and then see if I let me leave and
he could hear me before though, right?
I think he could hear you before, and I'm definitely getting you into the thing here, so
hey, people on stream, can you hear me?
I can hear him now. I can.
All right.
Yep. Oh, there we go.
All right. Yeah, I can hear. Okay, cool. It was me. My fault again, everyone. Sorry, these guys are consummate professionals. It's me who's causing the issues for those who are watching. And this is my first time on Twitch, so it's like, this is why I avoided probably.
Yeah.
Well, no, this is the fun of it, so.
Yeah, no, people like this kind of shit. Anyway, my question to finish the beginning was, Chris, how have these dark nights been treating you?
Oh man, geez, are we talking about like the last year? And they've been interesting times, like for everyone else. You know, I'm just trying to find ways to keep myself sane, keep myself occupied. And gaming's one of the ways I do it, and podcasting's another way that I do it, and just keeping strong relationships with those I care about and who care about me, and yeah, man, self-care. It's a big hip fucking thing to say, but like I'm a huge proponent of that also. So
yeah, definitely. It's been crazy times. I mean, it's and now and you've got a blizzard going on, right? Is this how many blizzards have you experienced in you're in Texas, right?
I'm in Texas. I've only been here for a year and a half. And man, Jesus Christ, like talk about just the stress of like the last year and a half. I moved here, again at home, staying in this rental, then the pandemic hits, and this all this insane shit, on top of all other life stuff. So yeah, the snow stuff, I mean, I've been in snow environments before, but like it's definitely not something here. And like they had that huge 100-car pile up that I missed by the skin of my teeth. If I would have gone into work, I might have been affected by that. Who knows? I had people from Arizona and other states I used to live in hit me up, send me messages like, you weren't in that, were you? Part of me wanted to joke and be like, I'm in a hospital bed right now in a full body cast, but I thought that would be a little too dark humor, so. But yeah, unfortunately, there's people in my neighborhood here who some lady's daughter-in-law just totaled her car. Thankfully, she's okay. And some lady's husband, legit almost full body cast, but he's at home, you know what I mean, with just swollen face and just so yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. I mean, like, and everyone thought 2021 was going to be like the shining sequel that would fix everything. So I'll wait for 2022, man.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know what's going to happen this year. I'm really wondering if this is if this is going to be the sequel or not. But there's a lot of good stuff that is happening. Like you guys are like almost to 600 episodes in Twin Cities by Night. Tell us a little bit about what you do. What is Twin Cities by Night podcast?
Yeah, so Twin Cities by Night podcast originally started just as a Vampire the Masquerade game that I ran. And we recorded it and put it on YouTube, not to share originally, but to have like a reference.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started figuring out like, oh, there's, this was like 5 years ago. We started figuring out, oh, there's people who play games and share them online. So we started sharing our YouTube videos. And after a while, it was actually, I remember specifically is when I lived in Arizona. I'm in my office. I'm doing something in my office, and I'm playing Wars on Fire, Vampire the Masquerade Wars on Fire, which was a Sabbat game that I ran. That takes place in like 1942 and wars in El Paso. And I was like playing it, and I was like doing something, and I'm like, man, this sounds like it sounds good. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like and I'm not trying to like compare myself to this or whatever, but it almost sounds like a radio drama. Because I always felt we're having a hard time connecting with people on YouTube, visually, because we're just some dudes like picking our nose, playing a game. We weren't very like, you see on Twitch streams are very I don't know, colorful and bright, you know what I mean? So and so I was like, man, let's try this as a podcast. And the moment we started it as a podcast and we started like focusing like on our audio quality and updating our mics and upgrading our mics and like editing, then it just kind of took off from there. So now we run a bunch of different stuff. Now, not only have we ran Vampire the Masquerade, we've done Delta Green, Call of Cthulhu, Eclipse Phase. We just started Monster Hearts, 13th Age slasher flick. So we have like concurrent stories that are going on that are like longer. We also do like one shots, that once in a while when we just have the time. So right now we currently have 3 stories going on. We have 4 stories going on. We have Monster Hearts, Marry Fuck Kill, which I don't play in that, but like we got that going on. We have Call of Cthulhu, Down Darker Trails, Missouri Crossing, my Vampire the Masquerade Eidolon game I'm running, and Chronicles of Darkness, Ultimate Evil, which I'm also running too. So we got a lot going on. It gives us something to do every Sunday to play,
Yeah, definitely. So do you do all these games at once, or is this every Sunday you guys kind of switch up what game you're playing, or?
Every Sunday we switch it up. We got 10 people in the gang, and so like I don't play in every game and I don't run every game, but we just kind of like have circular, group of people who play, and we schedule it out. And then when one game comes to an end, like a story arc comes to an end, usually we know beforehand. It sounds like, hey, I got an idea, so I want to run, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. So it's like this. It's weird. It's almost like this. I was telling someone this in our gang. I was like, man, it's almost like a well-oiled machine that's like running on its own right now. It's so weird because I used to be like so vested in it. I was like, I was the one who did all the editing and the social media and the da 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 da. Now it's like I'm just like one of the 10 puzzle pieces in the gang, and it's like weird seeing this like behemoth. I'm not saying we're uber big, but it's going. It's like like you said, 600 episodes. It's like soon we're gonna like we don't see it ending, which is fun because we always want to play games.
Yeah, it looks
Or
like you
one to
got
share
some
'em.
representation in chat here as well. Definitely. Thank you all for watching.
Oh, do I
here.
really?
Yeah, definitely got
Oh.
some squad representation from Jin Kun.
Oh yeah. Jin Kun, yeah, I know. It's called the helicopter eggplant. It's an inside joke that way. Yeah. Her and Becca are in there. They play. Her name's Joreen, and Becca. They play in the Monster Hearts. They played in other stuff. So yeah, for sure. Blasted on our social media, man. But yeah, so it's a thing. It's like a gang thing. It's like, matter of fact, they kind of surprised me today. And then again, this is like really surreal. They kind of surprised me because like 4 years ago we ran that Wars on Fire game. Vampire the Masquerade Wars on Fire. It's really funny too because like you play this game and you record it, and it's like a part of you, and you put it out there, and it feels good to like have people go, hey man, I really jam out to that, I really dig it. That's good. But then like then all of a sudden like kind of takes a life on its own, and like people like this Wars on Fire story, people start doing like fan fiction for it, and so the gang like took this fan fiction and they did like this audio drama recreation of it, and they shared it with me today, and I made it about halfway through, and it's like really cool because like we haven't played this game like in 4 years. This is a game we played like a long time ago, and to hear like the players in it like do the voices for this little like audio drama thing, it's just so surreal. And this something like the gang did without even me knowing about it, so it's just like it's cool. You know, now I'm just on the bus for the ride with it, man. So it's really awesome.
That's really awesome. Yeah, and I hear like you got like 5 editors now that you guys have.
Yeah,
Or...
yeah. We got a shit ton of edit. We got me, Tillman, Becca, Joreen. So we got 4. And editing is like, man, dude, you know, like editing is such a trip, bro. Because when we first started doing the podcast thing, we just like ripped our audio and we just put it on there. You know, we didn't know shit about editing. We didn't know shit about all that. And then I found out about Audacity, and then I would do an edit, but then I would like learn something, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta go re-edit everything that we've released. It was like this joke about how I re-edited like 3 times all our older stuff, eventually to where we found our style of editing. But then it became, oh, you want to edit? Yeah, here. And I was like all skeptical because I had this standard. And now like they've added to this standard, and now like again it's something where I'm just on the boat for the ride, you know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, they're editing and it's all good. Now I don't like, I mean, dark secret, I don't like editing anymore really. I mean, I will once in a while, but it used to be so like fanatical about it. Now I'm just like, okay.
Yeah,
You
you
know?
guys have some great editing quality. I have to say, listening to your podcast was really impressed by the editing quality that you guys have. And coming from somebody that, you know, I jumped into this too, and I learned about Audacity to a small degree, and you know, a lot of my time was spent on editing. So I tried to come up with this kind of concept now where I'm like, fuck it, I'm doing it live. Fuck the editing, because it's just me and one really buddy, you know, Mike here, that's helping out, and it just cut down on our need to spend a lot of time with it. But the but I feel like eventually we are gonna definitely have to go back and do some massive editing, you know, when we actually have the drive and will to really get to that point. But we try and, you know, we try and give you like the authentic. One of the things that I'm trying to go for is, especially with our Let's Play of Technogate, is this is kind of what you're gonna get when you come to Gen Con and we run our game at Gen Con, because our plan is to like run like Technogate, and you'd play a different team on the Technogate, because it's kind of like Stargate, you know, and so the SG1 team is what our team kind of is, and you'll play like the SG7 team or whatever, and go off and do other things in the Umbra, and
Oh wow.
you know,
That sounds rad.
and so you get to be kind of part of that story. And I kind of want the NPC, or the characters that you play will be NPCs in the Technogate live, you know, play that happens. So
Oh nice.
but yeah, I definitely am in awe of your guys's editing. It's just really, really well done, and really creates some really great products. I definitely look forward to going back and watching a lot of your and listening to a lot of your shows. And yeah, definitely. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to delve into is, what do you do with conventions and stuff like that? Do you guys run any games at anything like Gen Con or
Oh
Dragon
no.
Con or anything?
Unfortunately, no. And I've never been to a convention, and I don't know if anyone else on the gang has. We've always like kind of joked about like wanting to go to a convention. Like I like have this like, I mean, it's a daydream because it'll probably never happen, but have like, I can only imagine like, oh man, if we reached a certain level, we could have like a panel at a convention and people would be asking us questions and we'd all meet in person, because we've never met in person. We're all like across the globe in like 5 different countries. But no, we haven't. Unfortunately, we haven't. Now, I wanted to go to Gen Con eventually. I had an opportunity to go to Gen Con. Oh man, was it 3 years ago when V5 was released?
Mm-hmm.
The people who did the Gen Con games, I forgot the name of they're based out of Arizona where I was living at the time. They asked if I wanted to run V5 for a test run before it was released. And originally I said yes, but then things came up and I just kind of decided like, yeah, I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't want to fly out there and stay in a hotel room with three strangers, you know? So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just stayed home. But my plan is one day is to go to see people I've met, you know, in the industry and in the scene in person. But yeah, once the world gets sane again. But unfortunately, no, we haven't. And thank you for the compliment earlier, by the way. Hearing a compliment from a fellow content creator is like fucking like the little star in Mario Brothers, man. That gives you all the energy to go do more stuff, you know. So that means a lot. Thank you.
Oh yeah, and I would say check into Gen Con, because you can get your
Mm.
hotel room paid for, your badge paid for, and everything for running games. And I would say that like I could see any game that you would put up would probably be sold out almost immediately. Like it just
Oh yeah.
it's unbelievable to be able to see the amount of content that you guys have out there for people to look up and see would just immediately be like, okay, this, because I would sign up for your game in a heartbeat. And tabletop World of Darkness is not super ran at Gen Con, but has a large player base that is looking for some tabletop games. So if
Yeah,
you
for
ever
sure, for
do
sure.
go to Gen Con, definitely look into running a game, and I would say you're almost at a level where you might be able to get a panel where you would get some people that.
Man.
Oh, he can
No,
do a panel. Anybody can do a
yeah,
panel. It's
yeah. No
it's how
one
many
wants to hear
people
what I
you get in
say,
the room. I
man.
think you'd get a bunch. You would probably get a bunch of
Well,
people in
thank
the
you.
room.
Thank you, man. You guys are, you got to take me out for a nice steak dinner after this, man. You guys are winding me up so much here, man. I'll wear my nice
Um,
shoes. You know what I mean?
but along those lines, with the pandemic, we've been talking about this a little bit. Have you had any interest in online conventions? That might be a little more along your alley.
Yeah. If I ever got asked, to be on an online convention on like a panel, I would. When it comes to running a game, I'll be honest with you, my stamina for running games, I have a really low stamina. Like I don't know if Becca's still on here or not. I can't see who's on here, but like she'll play in our games and then she'll go run like a 4-hour game at home. And like me, dude, I run 3 hours. I'm spent.
Yeah.
I'm like I'll sometimes get like a ST hangover, I call it, where for like 2 days I don't even want to think about gaming. Where I hear about guys who run stuff at cons like 6-9 hours, 3 different games. Like, dude, you guys got some man, like I'm envy you. Yeah, I mean, I would do a panel online for sure if I, depending on who it was, you know what I mean? If I, yeah, I would go do a panel for sure, fast. But I know there's a lot of online conventions going on.
Mhm.
I don't know if Gen Con's gonna be online this year or not. You see a lot of organizations and companies are doing it, and yeah, and then that's a big thing too. Like, you know, especially with the pandemic coming up, you're seeing there's a lot of people are starting to realize that there's a lot of people who want to play games and they're willing to play them online. You know what I mean? And those I forgot which online convention it was, but I saw like all these people sign up to play in on Discord games. They had all these Discord games people were paying because they just want to play so bad, and I'm always down for that when people are willing to do that. So yeah, online conventions, heck yeah, people watch it and people want to listen to what you're saying. Go for it. Gives people a nice break from like we said, the pandemic craziness going on.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to my first virtual con. The horror con is
Oh,
going to
okay.
be happening this weekend. And so I'm really looking forward to, or technically, I guess since it's still this weekend, next weekend is when it's happening.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the Gehenna Gaming guys. Are they doing that?
Yeah, Gehenna Gaming. Yeah. This is their second one. I know. I think they're doing it with the Darker Days Radios folks too this time, and I know like there's like some actual plays going on, and I think my buddy Josh Heath is running Pugmire for them, like a horror based Pugmire version of it, But yeah, I don't know too much about what's going on with it all, but I've seen ads for it for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like. It'll be the first time I've done it virtually. I've been to a lot of. I go to Gen Con every year. We've done what's the other cons that we do? Midwinter,
Uh,
Gamehole
Midwinter in
Con.
Milwaukee, Origins in Columbus. I think that's pretty much it.
Yep.
And that's nice, dude.
But yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to seeing what
I
the thing
I
about
was
conventions that's
actually
kind of crazy is all the parties, which you're not going to be able to get. But
And you don't have to get the crud though. I heard about
yes,
convention crud. You
yes.
know what I mean? Like, yeah, you don't have to get sick.
oh yeah. See, I was actually going to ask you about what kind of conventions happen up in the Minneapolis area, but then I find out that you've never actually lived up there.
I'm a huge poser, man. I've never been to a convention, period. Matter of fact, my history with gaming has really only been the last 5 years. I actually went to one convention and what was the name of the convention? It was in Phoenix and Critical Crit Hit, I think is the name of the convention. My buddy Brendan Carrion from from Full Metal RPG ran was part of there. And I went and checked it out. And me and Quinn, a guy on the podcast, we both lived in the Phoenix area at the time, so we went there together, and it was cool. It was a smaller one, but it was nice and chill,
Yeah.
kind of seeing different things. So
Yeah, speaking of your gaming experience, I hear that you've got a crazy story for your first time that you LARPed.
Oh my god. Did someone tell you about who told? Oh my god.
It
Do you want
was
the? Go ahead. Do you want the R-rated version or do
you.
you want the PG-rated version?
R-rated is fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna just be open and open about it. So I found out about Vampire the Masquerade in 99, I think. Right before I went to Bosnia. Yeah, it was 99. And I bought the revised book before I went out. I was in the military at the time before, and I went to Bosnia, ran the game for a bunch of meatheads like me who didn't really have any gaming experience. We all like dug it, you know. It was more like the Matrix when I ran it. It was kind of corny, but we just had fun, you know, gave us something to do. I came back and somehow I met two dudes in the army who were into the game, who were in a different unit, but they said they played in a LARP. This was in Kansas. And oh God. And so this LARP was on the campus of a college. And the I was a little scared, like, and again, I have I'm friends with a lot of people who LARP and all that stuff, and I have no issue with LARP, so I just won't put that on the table. But just for me, like dressing up is just kind of like a thing that like I'm not comfortable with. It just makes me personally, I just whatever. I don't. It's not a taste of mine. But I was like, okay. I was like, do I have to dress up? And they're like, no, dude, just come and wear like jeans and you know what I mean, and a shirt, and you can play a character, and yada yada yada. So I go there, and at this time they had these vampire novels that were coming out, like these clan novels that were telling like this big epic story, and they had this Melkavian prophet, Gehenna prophet, and so I was like, well, I'm just gonna make a Melkavian Gehenna prophet because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at the time, and I was really overwhelmed, kind of like like you have this weird like sense like I'm a kind of a poser, and these guys are like the hardcore players. I'm just like this little.
I had the same exact feeling when I first went into LARP. I was like, it's really, you've got really hardcore gamers, and unless, and I came from a history of years and years of playing Vampire the Masquerade, but with my first LARP, I was still like, whoa, like, you guys really know.
Yeah, this is a lot.
The first time you walk into something like that, it's overwhelming for everybody. There's very few people that just
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And so what I kind of did was I was just kind of like, okay, I realized that like there was the movers and shakers, and then there were like people like me who were just kind of, and I kind of noticed too that there were some that were just like there to hang out, which is fine. And so I kind of was like, well, I'm just going to kind of see what's going on, and I'll play my character if anyone talks to me, whatever. And a big storyline plot that they had at the time was that like the Sabbat were like trying to infiltrate the city, and they were going to like eventually attack or whatever. I can't remember exactly what it was. And again, like I said, I didn't know the big picture plot. And so they had where the Sabbat attacked, and they have like the ST, and then whatever the assistant STs or whatever they're called. And I was with a group of like players, and the Sabbat pack came played by the assistant ST. And I tried to use demontation, and I remember it was like rock paper scissors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember exactly what it was, but like I did something, and he countered it, but then I could redo it again if I spent a willpower, I think it was, or something to that extent. So I did it, and I won the thing. And then somehow he's like, oh no, it doesn't affect me, but he just face melded me. He didn't kill me, and he killed the other two players. So he left with the pack of like Sabbat guys, and the players like, no, dude, like you should have like, you won the role or whatever it was, and you should, because I was trying to use demontation to scare him and make, I forgot, or was it Dreadgate, something like that, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, oh no, we gotta go talk to the ST now. And I'm like, it felt like, like when your parents are arguing in front of you, like, I don't want to be here, I just like whatever, like, they dragged me to the ST, and they're like, and I could tell there was like some kind of like drama with this assistant storyteller before, and they're just like da 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 da, and they tell me to explain what happened, and I like explain what happened. And then he calls this assistant ST, and this assistant ST starts losing his shit on me. You know what I mean? He's like, you're fucking lying. And just like starts like going all hardcore at me. Looked like he had a meth problem or something. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, dude, I'm just here to play a game. So I remember I was about to bail at that point, and my friends, the two army dudes I knew, they weren't like friends, they're more acquaintances. They were like, no, just keep coming, man. And so I started getting like this, like, I don't know, used to start seeing like, weird shit start happening. And there was a couple weird things that happened. Jesus. So one of the LARP dudes threw this party at his parents' house. He was an adult, but his parents had like this nice house on the outskirts of town that had like a couple acres of land, and where you could do like a bonfire and all this shit. And his parents had let him like take the house for the weekend and throw a party. And so my army friends were like, hey, like these two dudes were like, let's go to this party. I'm like, oh man, dude, like I don't know, man. I don't want to get drunk. I don't feel comfortable around a lot of these people. I don't want to go get drunk around them. Like, no, it's fine. So like I go there with these two. and me and one of the dudes were sharing a bottle of purple Gatorade mixed with Everclear. That was like I was like 22 at the time. I was like a dumb kid, you know what I mean? So we're like drinking this shit, walking around. And when after a while, you're like, hey, there's a big bonfire and there's a lot of fucking people, and you're just walking around having fun. And so me and one of my army friends were like, hey, let's just go explore. Let's just explore like that, walk around and shit. So we go inside the house because most people are outside, and we see there's a couple people are inside, and then we see like there's a curtain. Like how you can walk up some steps. There's like a curtain pin to like cover the steps. So like to go up the steps, you have to move the sheet. It's like a sheet pinned in the wall. You have to move the sheet to go up the steps.
Mhm.
And we see some dude coming out of it, like he's coming down the steps. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? So like we
It's a
start
special
walking up there.
area.
Yeah. And so we walk to the sheet, and the guy's like, oh no, dude, you don't want to go up there, man. And we're like, what? Like thinking maybe they're smoking weed. We're like, oh, fine, we won't smoke because we're in the military. Kind of like, oh, we're cool. So we like go up there, man. And like, dude, this is like some shit straight out of a movie. You go up there and it's like, from what I remind you, this is I'm 43 now, so this is like 21 years ago. It was like when they have the base, the not basements, the attics, and like the floors finished, but like the walls, that edge that go to the roof isn't. So
Right.
like there's like a floor there, but nothing else. And there's like fucking 10 people in a circle, and then there's this one dude going at it with two chicks in the middle. Like, so they're all sitting there watching, and we're just like, what the fuck? Like we walk up there like, oh shit, dude, you know what I mean? And like I forgot, like my army friend, his name was Bobo. He said something like, fuck. And like they all looked like it was this awkward, like record scratching moment. And we're like, peace out. And so we go downstairs, and then like fucking, and then and then like a half hour later, the dude who was up there is walking around the bonfire with his boxers and a beer, just telling everyone what happened. Like he's cool, like it's the most awkward fucking shit, dude. And so like I told Bobo and this other, I forgot the other guy, I was like, dude, I'm never going to LARP again. Like, no, just don't give up on that. That's just them on the side. Like, let's just go to the game. So I go to the fucking game one more time. And the final straw was the fact that like the ST decided to bring like this adventure character of his out of retirement that he had retired when he was a player. And he had this big battle with like all these assistant STs, and his character dies. And his fucking girlfriend starts freaking out, like screaming at the players of this STs. There's all this crying and all this drama. And I was finally like, okay, I'm fucking done, dude. I'm not going back to this shit anymore. Now, mind you, I'm sure 99.9% of vampire LARPs are not like that. But like that one time I was like, holy fuck, I am never doing this shit. And I already felt uncomfortable, like kind of like, you know what I mean? Like I've never dressed up or anything, but man, whew, that was an interesting fucking thing. So yes, you had to bring that up, man, to get my heart rate up. But yes, that was intense. I just remember the dude walking around in his boxers like he was Joe Schmo, like he was so fucking cool. And I'm just like, you look like a total jackass. Like no, like he wanted people to notice, like, hey, look, I'm in my boxers still holding a beard. Everyone's like, we don't care, And he kept trying to like, it was like some weird like eyes wide shut like kind of shit. I don't fuck, but like really, really poorly done, But it was way too intense for my liking, bro.
You entered into a different reality for a little while.
Dude, and then I'm like fucking 22 drunk on purple fucking Gatorade and fucking Everclear, dude. And I'm seeing this shit like woo, like
Apparently that's called a primogen.
Oh yeah, there you go, right? Oh, is that what it's called? Oh Jesus, yeah.
The chat.
Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, but anyways, yeah, that was it was some intense shit, man. But again, I want to say for the record is that the primogen, that's funny, that's what it's known as, huh? I'm looking at, but for the record, I'm not judging anyone who LARPs, man. You do you, man, and it's fun and it's huge, man. And I see pictures. I was talking to Nate from 25 years or from 2D10 about what's his name, Matthew Webb, who throws those huge LARPs in Texas and shit like that, man. Or he threw one in Texas, like the night of, I think it's called, or something. I saw the pictures of that. I'm like, man, that looks fucking rad. The LARP I went to did not look like that LARP. You know what I mean? Like, that looks fun as hell.
I find that
you
I
haven't really LARPed since then.
No, I haven't LARPed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I find that LARPing at like one shots and conventions and stuff like that is a lot of fun. And I find it can get a little, I feel it gets a little bit too intense with the local games that run every week type stuff.
Yeah.
Like there seems to be a certain level of intenseness that you have to have in order to keep up with every single week running, what is essentially a improv. that's
Yeah.
be happening all the time type stuff. And there's a lot that really goes into the comparatively to the sit down game where you just kind of sit down and you're tabletopping, and you have your schemes and stuff like that, but you're not competing with 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 other people type kind of depending on what kind of LARP that you're involved in. But I always found it was really interesting to jump into LARPs, and it was really easy entry to get into a LARP that was a one shot at like a convention or something like that, because you jump in, everybody is really looking for fun and stuff like that. The one thing though that I wanted to bring up though was the idea of, I feel like there should be a new player experience when it comes to LARPs and
Mm.
games like that, where you have that level of everybody is really intense on playing, and when a new player kind of comes in, it's a completely different experience for them, because especially if they're new to the world of darkness, they don't really know what's going on, and they need to be treated with a very different mentality than somebody that's been LARPing for the last 20 years.
For sure. And oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing too, like like with the from what I hear stories of in my small experience with like weekly games, it's almost like it's almost like a, I don't want to say culture, but it's almost like a little community of its own. And people, I think some people, I think all of us, so in our DNA in a little way have like a competitive edge to us. And I think you get people in their own little community. Everyone wants to be the, alpha, some people want to be the alpha. And so where with the convention games, you're just showing up having fun. And like I think the convention games like Convention of Thorns and what the Camarilla one they have in New Orleans, I forgot what it's called. That would be fun because the people going there are going there for one experience to be creative together for like one night, and there's no like I gotta screw you over because next week I'm gonna be the prince, or it's just there for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I could get down with that. It's just like you know what I mean? I don't want to deal with like yeah, you hear stories all the time from people like about people who LARP for like 2 years, and someone new comes and they get intimidated because this person's like, I'm the top dog, So it is what it is, man.
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, I always found that it would be interesting to have more of a new, a whole kind
Yeah.
of mindset of new, because they do that with like MMORPGs and stuff like that. Like when that
Mm.
you're being walking into a universe that exists. Like if you're gonna play WoW or EVE Online or any of these massive online RPGs, there's a community that's been there forever, and they've dominated the landscape. But they also whether they succeed or fail, but they create a new player experience for you to jump in. And I think WoW is really good at that, is they give you like this storyline that you kind of have to build yourself up, and that doesn't necessarily have to interact with the other players. I don't think that's right for LARP, but I feel like there's a ability for LARP to have a whole section on new player experience that needs to be kind of examined.
Yeah, I think that really, and yeah, I think that's a good idea. Go for it, man. You in mind, I like, come on, make it happen, But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I've tried a little bit. We'll see if we can get some. We're messing around with some more ideas too on what we're going to be doing when we're going to conventions and stuff.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, Vampire, I like the tabletop experience just because I feel like that's another thing too, like with me with like actual plays and everything like that. And again, everything I'm saying here is like my taste. I'm not trying to say if it's not my taste, it's not right.
Mhm,
These are just my taste. When it comes to like actual plays, like one of the reasons why like editing and everything is like so important for our stuff is I really want to like set the tone, like build the what's the word like really have like immersion, by people
mhm,
listening. And one thing I like about tabletop is like you could do that with players too, like where like with LARP you got like all these players, and LARP's a different thing, so you can have a different kind of vibe with it. But like with the tabletop you got 4 or 5 people there, and you depending on how you can describe and set a scene, you could really like pull them in there, and there's no distractions,
mhm.
with that. And that's why I kind of dig it. I dig tabletop myself, but
Yeah, I
some of these
like
LARPs look like. Go ahead.
I like one of the things about tabletop is that if you can get it to the level where you're RPing a lot with each other,
Yeah.
because I think that tabletop has a tendency to move more towards mechanical play and talking about where am I moving, my knight so that I can, get behind somebody so I can flank them and then I'm going to use this power to do this and especially Dungeons and Dragons. But I really love the World of
Yeah.
Darkness for the solid amount of RP that can, like, I've done many, we're 20 some odd episodes in right now for our actual play, and a lot of our episodes are just a bunch of role playing happening with, some roles happening here and there. But role play is interesting when you kind of just have a bunch of people kind of sitting down and just in character talking to each other and having stuff kind of go on. And it was one of those things that when I saw a game being played of it was Werewolf the Apocalypse, basically mixed in with all the other games, but there was a bunch of werewolves just sitting at a table the entire LARP, and I was like, well, why don't they just play tabletop? They're,
Yeah.
they're all sitting at a table because they were like the council or whatever, so they were always
Yeah.
in session or whatever. And so that's when I came up with an idea of having we had a 40-person tabletop game that happened where we had 4 tables, 10 tables each with vampires, werewolves, mages, and hunters, and we ran this for 3 years at Gen Con with it. Every
Yeah.
year you could just jump in if you wanted. If you've never played before, that's fine. Just here's a fully made character for you that's one of the primogen or one of the council members. You were playing really high level characters, and you were all just having council meetings and dealing with crazy things that were going on, and we were ending the world. So you were playing high level characters trying to save the world, basically.
Nice, man. That's pretty bad. That's a lot of work, it sounds like. But kudos to you guys for doing that, man. For real.
It was
It was
a
fun.
lot of work.
Yeah. Sounds like it was worth it though.
Yes, absolutely. In the end, when we got to end the whole thing, and it's almost come to the point where it's like I'm considering going back and doing all of that work again.
Oh, I know. The moment, like, when you're in the middle of it, you're like, I can't wait till this is done. And the moment it's done, you're like, I kind of want to do that again. Like, I feel, yeah. I feel you there. But hey, just take that energy and move on to a new project, And that's one good thing about this gaming stuff. There's like unlimited possibilities of things that you can do to add to the ether, Like, you could just, like, there's so many unique things, that that's why I like podcasting, because, like, I tell you what, man, if it was just becoming repetitive, I probably wouldn't be doing it still anymore, But there's always like some new thing you can find to do, new game, new story, or whatever. I'm
Hmm.
constantly like thinking about this shit, man. I'm constantly thinking about like vampire games I can run or different story ideas. It's just like in my head all the time, It's like I finally found my medium, I guess, of like putting a part of me out there for people to be able to consume, man. Because like these games, like with vampire, like I mean, yes, you got the clans, and yes, you got like whatever the Camarilla, the Anarchs, the Sabbat, the Gehenna and the fucking Jihad and all that shit. But like to me, like why I love vampires, like the themes you get down to the like in the core of it. Like all that other shit, I could fucking do it. I don't really care about, but I like the fucking themes, man, because I
Do
think you can
you
explore. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, do you do a lot with like humanity?
Oh fuck yeah, dude! Like a conscience roll, dude, is like my favorite role, dude, like ever, man. Like the hierarchy of sins, like all that shit, man. Because I think that like I was thinking about this the other day, man. For real, I'm glad I can fucking speak this out now into the ether, man. Like I was thinking about this, like um, I can relate to vampire a lot, because of this, with what I did in the military and being in the military for like the longest time. I had this bravado where like I felt like I felt like I'm unstoppable. Like nothing can stop me. Even though I had friends who had passed away, due to wars or unfortunately due to suicide, tied to all that shit, I felt I was unstoppable. And then there was one night when I was like, I had to be around 30. I'm sitting watching TV with my wife, and they had a scene on the movie or TV show we're watching where this old man passes away peacefully, and it just felt like I got punched in the chest, because at that moment I distinctly remember thinking, I'm gonna die one day. Like it just set in. Like I'm gonna fucking die. And I remember that was like a weird pivot point in my life where it was like, I gotta have my 401k on point, I gotta have this, my finances on point, and I gotta have like all this shit. It was like this weird. pendulum that swung in this opposite direction.
Oh shit, I'm
That's
getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting old. Yeah, like I'm not unstoppable, man. I'm not like this fucking bull anymore who's out to like smash my enemies and hear the the lamentations of women or whatever Conan says, like I fucking like but my point being is like that's vampire in a nutshell too, because in a vampire you're embraced, you think you're unstoppable, you have all this shit, then all of a sudden at the snap of your fingers you become this anxious, paranoid fucking elder who feels like you have to deal with this shit. And like the beast, you're a fucking junkie, but unlike most junkies, you're gonna murder someone against your fucking will if you're pushed too wrong. Like there's all these like dark, like personal fucking themes that are not personal, like I'm murdering people because I'm a junkie, but I'm saying like there's these like in our podcast that we have, I can tackle like a lot of these difficult subjects. I can give homage to people that I know who have died due to these subjects or whatever, and I can carry them over into these stories as NPCs or like influences. And so like that like the current state of vampire right now to me, like V5, I can't help but like snicker sometimes when I see it. Not that again, I not saying that how I think is how things have to be, but like I just think it's almost like it's kind of taken on like this weird like D&D
Trying to be
I
more
don't
of
want
a
to say
video game.
yeah, it's like cartoonish almost. And I don't want to say cartoonish like again, I'm not trying to insult people, but it's almost like everything's like so like blah, and theatrical and colorful with it, and I'm just like okay, that's cool, but like I don't need to like see an anime drawing of an actual play cast. You know what I mean? Like it just to me is just very like that's not my jam. But again, they could do them, and I don't fault them because you could take this game and you can like run it in any way you want to. But just to me, like I know that I love that like seething underbelly of it, like that weird eerie feeling you get when you read Revelations of the Dark Mother for the first time, which is like one of my
Yes.
fucking favorite books. That
Huge
weird like
shout
kind of
out.
like
Love that book. That is a really
fuck yeah.
crazy, just like gets you down like a whole different mind
Yes.
level of like,
I have
wait a
another
minute.
copy upstairs I just bought because every
Oh,
time
yeah.
Am I a follower of Lilith? Shit.
Yeah, I know. Or just the story of that lady who's like going mad, like the vampire. You know what I mean? How she murders that other follower just because.
That's
Like
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, my first like vampire story, Negligence, was so inspired by that. You know what I mean? Like seeing it through this weird lens of like, like movies like from the early 2000s, like Eyes Wide Shut. I mentioned before that kind of like eerie, like just like makes you feel unsettled a little bit, like uncomfortable. That's what vampire is to me. That's what I choose to take from it. Or like the intro story from revised Followers of Set, revised clan book. That sad fucked up story about the junkie who she ends up like getting embraced and controlling the person who made her a junkie. But it's like really kind of street level, darker kind of thing. That's what I like about the game. That's just my taste personally.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the good thing is like the companies can make it a completely different thing, but I can still run it the way I want.
Right,
And
yeah, and World of Darkness is so good with that, and I mean, you still have your old editions, if you want if you want to update your rules, which I've updated to 20th anniversary at this point. I feel like 20th anniversary is where things really started to rule-wise come together for most of the game lines, and I haven't been able to move on to V5. I've heard about the storylines of what's going on V5, and I kind of want to follow that and see what's going on with that. But I'm really waiting for V5 Mage, I think, to come out because I'm hoping that they make this a simplification on the rules to a certain degree. But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, Mage 20th is such a good book. Like I love Mage 20th so much. But it's too I'm in the middle of rereading it right now, dude, and it's like so intense. And that when it comes to like I don't know, like Vampire Fit, like again, I don't know, man. Like I'm not as vested as like a lot of people. Like Edition Wars to me just seem goofy. Like, you know what I mean? I can like personally not like the vibe of V5, but I'm not gonna yell about it online because it's like I still got this other version I can play. It doesn't make sense to me to waste all that energy. V5's just been a trip, bro. Like, I don't even think they know what they are yet. It's been like 3 different fucking things, like different fucking people running it, getting it taken from them, and just like, it's a crazy thing, man. Like that,
White Wolf has been on a journey.
My personal opinion, they have been on a journey, and like now they're not even White Wolf anymore. It's like the World of Darkness. I think the main thing was they were putting on their eggs into Bloodlines 2, and like that's not happening. So now they're trying to scramble to like to whatever. And again, like people can like it, dude. And again, I'm not fucking faulting people. It's just I don't get the energy, bro. Like I had to wait. I remember, man, I was so hyped for V5, and when they allowed the pre-order for it, I ordered the special edition slipcase version. I ordered the limited edition version, and I ended up not getting my shit for like 8 months because they fucked up the Guide to the Camarilla. They had that what was that fucking country with that fucked up dictator, man? I can't remember off the top of my head, but they like did some shit with it that was kind of yeah, and they had to like fix it. And I was like, okay, well, just send me my limited edition one so I can at least read it. And like, no, we don't want to pay shipping for two different things. You know what I mean? They're making me wait like 8 months because they're fuck up, kind of thing. And I was just like, oh my God, man. And so like I didn't get around to reading it when I was hyped, and by the time you listen to people who read it and all this shit, and you're kind of getting your, your feelings or whatever. And so again, though, it is what it is, man. I wish them luck. I don't want to see anyone fail in the industry, you know what I mean? And like I hope they figure it out. And seems like they're still around, so it seems like they're doing something right,
Yeah,
So
there's a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
potential. I think there's a lot of potential out there. It just is it is a different world. It's not the 90s anymore, and
Yeah, not
you've got to reevaluate what you're
you
putting
got,
out into the
some of the shit does not fucking age good, bro. Some of this shit doesn't age good. You're just like, oof, you know what I mean? Well, like even like I'm gonna be fucking honest, man. Like the first vampire book I ever opened up and looked at and almost made me walk away from the game was the Clan Book Bali. Just like
Oh,
that opening, like fucking story. Yeah, like I was like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? Like, 'cause so I was like, oh no, that's the 18 plus book. But I mean, like, did you really need that? Did you like really need that opening fiction in that book? You know what I mean? Like, there's tons of fucking material in this world who have dealt with the dark themes of like infernalism and that kind of shit. Great books like The Exorcist and all this shit, but like they didn't need to go that far. You know what I mean? But it was the 90s, man, and
yeah, they were pushing the
edge
envelope
lords.
was kind of their
Yeah,
calling to how they were trying to get famous, which did get them famous a lot in back in the day. It's just a
it did. Yeah,
little
for
different
sure.
fame these days that they don't really need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But but it is what it is, man. And at least there's still people putting. I'm very grateful that I can like use the IP still, and
Mhm.
make something that's really special to me. That's my own story. So
Yeah, speaking
that's
of
what I'm
which,
about.
what are some of your plans that you have coming up for Twin Cities by Night? Do you guys have anything in the works right now, or are you just
Terry is in the chat asking for a Mage game.
Dude, yeah, man, Terry, I'll get you, bro. So okay, let me. I have ideas for days, but I'm gonna just kind of like shoot them from like gonna happen the soonest to like happen the latest. All right. Currently, right now, I'm running Vampire the Masquerade Twin Cities by Night Eidolon, which is technically the fourth story arc, I guess, fifth story arc in our Vampire Chronicle. It's a duet series that I'm running with Adam. Shout out to Adam, who where he plays Giovanni. Dude, like talk about like that somber, like low level view of shit. Adam by far is a light years better storyteller now. He runs Delta Green duets on our channel. If you ever want to check out Delta Green, listen to his shit. Him and I click. We have a good chemistry. Having a lot of fun with that. Once that's done, I'm gonna run the next Twin Cities by Night chronicle called Embers, which is gonna take place after Dread, which was a big one that we ran. I'm currently running also Chronicles of Darkness Ultimate Evil Institutionalized. Still going. Takes place in Bismarck, North Dakota in 1987. Deals with like satanic panic and all that fun shit. I'm I'm at the pretty much like 80% my head done with like another Ghouls Fatal Addiction miniseries where the players are gonna play revenants. I don't know their revenants. It's gonna be like a talk about a small family in a small town in Minnesota on the outskirts of the Twin Cities. So I got that pretty much formulated. And then I got my Mage 20th Chronicle, which I've been talking about for like 3 fucking years. Reason why I'm rereading Mage 20th, it's gonna be called, I think, Hubris. I think I'm gonna call it. I'm not quite sure, but it's gonna basically take place from 1967 to 1979. It's gonna start with like the summer of love, like kind of crashing down, and ends with Jonestown. Jim Jones and all that fucked up shit that happened in Jonestown. So it's gonna like basically me trying to tackle Mage and these different like kind of like the craziness from like that decade that happened between like 67 and 77 with like the whole hippie love thing kind of crashing down, the rise of like cults in the 70s and like serial killers in the 70s, Vietnam, the Cold War, like all that shit. That I mean, that was You read about that decade. That's a really fucking intense decade of like a lot of shit happening. So yeah, I'm
And I
gonna
feel
try
like
to
it
tackle
gets
that in the mate.
glossed over actually quite a bit.
Yeah,
Like,
it
because
does,
you hear
dude.
about the 60s, you hear about the 80s, the 70s. I think, what is it? Just disco is what people say for the
Yeah,
70s, right?
disco, and that's it. But you don't think about like the Ted Bundy and like you know what I mean? Like all
Hmm.
these like intense like fucking rise of serial killers and all that shit. And so in the game, um the players are going to be playing technocracy agents who are basically going to be like sent to find out what's going on. And during the summer of love, it's going to kind of spark with like the big pivot point in my head, at least for now, that's going to start it off, is going to be the My Lai massacre that happened in Vietnam, where like basically a company of infantrymen like lost their fucking minds and killed like 400 civilians, like just and but it's like almost like a madness came over them all. Where I'm gonna use that respectfully in the story as like basically it was a paradox backlash that happened because something that happened in Vietnam there that kind of like sparks, you know what I mean, this big investigation to go on. So yeah, big plans and aspirations with that, but I like that kind of shit because I like talking about it because I think it keeps me accountable. Because then you got people like Terry be like, "Yo, bro, what's up with that Mage 20th game?" You know what I mean? And like I know I have spoken it, so thus I need to follow through with it. So yeah, I'm rereading Mage 20th right now, and I think my plan to run that is I'm going to start running that after the Chronicles of Darkness Ultimate Evil Institutionalized story's done. So that's about like I don't want to say how much it's done because people are listening who playing it probably. I don't want to spoil it, but once that's done, I'm gonna run Mage. I'm gonna get around to it.
That
I'm
sounds
intimidated though.
awesome.
That's yeah, dude. But I'm just gonna fucking do it. Like I'm like I like that's a good thing about like our the like our gang for the most part is like, and we tell new storytellers all the time, like people who are running for the first time, like dude, like we will not fail you. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna have a dick at the tables. Like, oh fuck it, technically, or like you don't know that rule. Like we're not gonna like we don't want you to fail. We want to have fun, and yeah. So what
Awesome.
better gang to play with? Yeah,
Yeah, I've been
thank you.
really happy. My players have been very kind with me, and I've been very kind with them, and we just try and have fun. I am sure I smash the rules of Mage into the ground and make people go, "What? You can't do that. That's that's impossible. That's
What?
you don't have enough in this in order to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't care. Go do it. That sounds
Golden rule.
cool. That's a great idea." That's for me, Mage is
Golden
much
rule, man.
more.
Golden rule.
Could you just make shit up for me and then just try and use any kind of mechanics to justify it? And I'll just yeah, go ahead. That sounds cool. Let's do this.
The thing with the maid story that the goal I want to try doing is like really like like almost like I was explaining to someone in the gang like I don't know if you're a Dune fan. I love the Dune books. They're
Dude,
like a big
yes.
fucking inspiration in my life. Like I read the Dune series, the Frank Herbert series when I was like 13, man. And it just had like huge impact on my life. And I don't know if you ever watched Jodorowsky's Dune documentary about when he was going to try to take a stab at that movie in the 70s. He was like, it was insane. He was never going to be able to do it. But watch the documentary, and because he literally like described like he wanted to like have like a 17-hour movie that was like an acid trip. That's now I'm not saying I want a 17-hour movie, but I want to get this like surreal like I want people to hear it and the players to like to feel it, and not to be like big and flashy, but having to be like reality is like fucking shifting around and they don't know what's right. You know what I mean? Like that kind of sickening, weird, like, am I high or am I not high kind of feeling. I don't know
Yep.
if I can accomplish it, but I'll try. Very much I'll try.
That sounds like a perfect atmosphere.
Dude, yeah, like it's gonna that's one thing I'm always trying to push myself in and when running stuff is like I'm always trying to like push myself out of my comfort zone, trying to like describe scenes or try to like do things. Sometimes they like sometimes they're like, oh, okay, maybe I didn't feel like I pulled that out, but sometimes when they work, they fucking work. And so like that's one thing I want to try with Mage is just like get that just I don't know, man, just like that weird, like am I nauseous or am I not nauseous feeling to these guys, especially when you're technocracy agents and you're kind of like you kind of are mages too. You know what I mean? Even though you're like in this weird self-denial,
Yep.
so we'll
Yeah,
see.
that's I've
This
been
is real.
pushing that with my characters. Like I had them at one point that they kind of had to like make a decision. Like, are you gonna help wipe out all these mages on Mars here, or are you gonna
Mm.
you gonna back the technocracy and see that there's women and children, or go against the technocracy and see there's women and children and other people that are just normal people that don't need to be wiped out, but that's the protocol right now, and kind of put them in that kind of they have a moral decision that they're going to have to make here. And when you're part of the technocracy and you consider everything that's a reality deviant, depending on how you like, I try and make my higher ups a little bit more dark and evil.
Okay. Yeah. The Nefandi technocracy guys.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Like Mage is a trip to like the thing that kind of like really like brought out like in me like I wanted to run it was I was looking at because I started like kind of like formulating maybe I wanted to run it when I first read Mage 20th. And I was looking at pictures of I can't find this fucking picture again. So if someone's listening, you can find this picture, please let me know. I was looking at pictures of the Summer Love, and they had this picture of this guy. He's a shirtless dude. He's in a gutter, like just like like in a gutter, like being propped up by it a little bit, beard, stringly long, long hair, and he has like this fucking third eye like painted on his fucking forehead. He's obviously high as hell. You can see like he just looks eyes are glassed over, but he has this like painted third eye on his forehead. And it's black and white. And for some reason I saw his picture. I'm like, oh my God, like that makes me think of like, you know what I mean? Like that makes me think of Mage in a weird fucking way, like. And I was like, and I wanted to find that picture because I wanted to use it as a thumbnail for when we do the fucking story. And I can't find it, man. I've like spent hours trying to find it. But just seeing that, I was like, oh my God, it makes me feel like dirty and gross. But like, what if that guy took a bunch of acid and he actually did like, you know what I mean? Like change reality a little bit, It's like, so.
Well, I always find like how Mage seems to throw like my view of the world in a loop. Because all of a sudden you kind of look at things of like faith healing and the concepts of, not trusting the government, not, the conspiracy like level of things. I think even mages would consider still flat earthers to be maybe more on the fringe of the traditions.
Yeah.
But you all of a sudden you're flipping everything on its head. Like all of a sudden things seem a lot more terrifying. Like all of a sudden a vaccine where, I would go get a vaccine any day, not a problem. But all of a sudden on Mage, it's like, well, do you really want the technocracy poking something into your arm? Like,
the thing with Mage to me, two things. One, I think it's the smart person's game. And that's what intimidates me because I listen to like Terry talk about it all the time. Like, God, he sounds so fucking smart. And I'm such a dummy. Like I hear them talk about Mage, but like the thing about Mage though, too, that I like is like I read Mage 20, I'm reading it now, and I'm like looking through the Mage lens at current events. And if you think about like, and not to get into politics or whatever, but like the big thing now is like controlling the narrative. That's like a lot of people say, controlling the narrative. You got to control the narrative. Is it controlling the narrative like changing reality though? If you think about it, if you like control the narrative and you get like a certain subset of people, Americans or people in the world, absolutely like, I know this is my reality. That's a big thing you hear now. Like my truth, my reality, my truth, all this stuff. It's like, that's fucking Mage, bro. You know what I mean? Like that like
I feel like there's a lot of politicians that read Mage and were like, you know what?
Yeah,
let's do this. Like, because and it's kind of weird because it's from what I understand, it's sort of true to a certain degrees. A lot of these people are like the ones that if I imagine something to be like, they'll build their faith walls or whatever, their pictures that they just look at every day and they go, I want that, and then they say that's going to the reality is going to change for me, and I'm like, who got high and taught these guys Mage the Ascension and didn't tell them it's a game?
I know, but it's so weird. Like, I forgot the term. I know what you're talking about, but there's a term like will it or I forgot the term, but like you think about it enough, you will it and it will happen kind of thing. And like, that's fucking Mage though, dude. Like, even if you go back to like Crowley, who I think Crowley's a fucking an opportunistic asshole who just wanted to get laid and do whatever the fuck he wanted to do. But like, I read an autobiography on Crowley and he was saying the same fucking shit, whatever thou willeth or whatever his big fucking quote that everyone loves to quote, like you will it will happen or whatever. I forgot the shit he would say, but like it's all like Jim Jones. You look at Jim Jones, man. Like when I was reading Mage 20 the first time, I was also reading a Jim Jones book. I don't know about like Jim Jones, but like had all those people move to like Africa, started like Jonestown and all that shit, and like basically had everyone commit suicide like by drinking the Kool-Aid. That's where the term drinking the Kool-Aid came from. Yeah, and that dude convinced a bunch of motherfuckers to move to Africa away from their families, where he was having sex with whoever he wanted, male and females. And then when they fucking had a politician came. There was a politician who came to check because some people, family members of people who were there, were saying some bad shit was happening. The politician goes there. One of his cult members give him a letter saying, "Help us." You know what I mean? We're fucking like, like secretly give him a letter, "Help us. We're here against our will," kind of thing. He goes to get on a jet to leave a plane. They all come and shoot him and kill him before he can get on the plane. And Jim Jones knows he's fucked and just has them all drink Kool-Aid and they all fucking die. But to think to have that power to like convince everyone of that shit, that's Mage. I'm not saying it's magic. I'm not saying magic with a K. I'm just saying though, if you want to like put that in Mage terms, those are ideas to use in Mage. You know what I mean? So
No, yeah, that's I mean
really
one of the
crazy, man.
things that World of Darkness does great on is take our world and twist it a little bit and unfortunately sometimes sometimes fortunately sometimes unfortunately it's not that much of a bend uh
Fuck no.
like so I guess it was Crowley's do as thou will
Yeah,
manifesting.
that's what it
So
was. Oh, did someone say that? Okay, gotcha.
yeah,
Someone
Terry was
corrected me.
Okay, yeah,
Oh yeah.
it was South America, not Africa.
yeah, South
Oh, was it South
America.
America? Not okay. Sorry, South America. Yeah. So
But
yeah, it's
yeah,
yeah, a lot of crazy, a lot of, but it's very like I like it. Like I like you read the write up for the syndicate. Oh, was it the syndicate? The guys who handle like for the technoxy like
that's all the
markets and all that
money.
shit.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. You read it, it's like, oh, puts on a power suit. You know what I mean? And has like his face lotion. He puts, like those are his. Now I'm fucking up. I'm gonna fail the Mage test, but like the little things he does to get like change,
His foci
reality
and
for him, and
his
yeah, his foci. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, his foci. So yeah, man, it's really dope. So I plan to tackle that, dude. I really do. I mean, I'm always gonna run vampire. I don't think there's ever gonna be time when I'm like not gonna run vampire. I got too much of a plot. I have a beginning and an end, and I have too much to get to the end where I'm not gonna get there anytime soon.
So can you
But
give
yeah,
us a
Mage
little
is.
bit of that plot? What's the beginning of your kind of like meta plot that you could kind of give our viewers a taste?
Yeah. So the very first story, basically, one thing I like to I like to do with vampires is they mentioned this. I think it was in the revised storytellers book. I can't remember the exact book, but there's kind of like two different ways you can look at vampires. You can look at one like the vampires who go to like what do you call it, Elysium
Elysium.
every weekend and they all like hang out, or you can have the view like vampires can live in this. There could be two vampires who live in the same city and don't see each other but once in 20 years. You know what I mean? Just like they're kind of like solitary creatures. There can be an Elysium, but like they're very territorial kind of thing, and that's how the story started. Where basically like four neonates who been in the city for like 20 years, kind of been able to do their own thing. Were basically, for lack of a better term, like tasked by the Primogen to look into a series of murders. Um, and the reason why they wanted to look into the series of murders because they didn't want any. The whole big thing about the Twin Cities is that they have like 50 of the top Fortune 500 companies there, but like they don't want a lot of attention. So like, hey, find out what's going on with this because the cops are taking too long and handle it. Like we don't care how. We just don't want like 24-hour news cycle coming because the story takes place in 2010, by the way. And
Okay.
so through that, they find out. And I don't want to spoil, but they find out that there's more to the murders that kind of like pulls the players more into the gravitational pull of like kindred uh, events in the city, and they kind of get pulled into that. And so it kind of like the story's more like of I don't want to spoil. I'm trying not to spoil, but the
Mhm.
story is more of like a personal horror and kind of coming to grips with what you are. And so these characters are slowly like pulling the veil back from like you know what I mean, the curtain aside. That was kind of you're using to block out their existence, and they're kind of like doing that and slowly seeing more what it is to be a vampire. So,
And
and
so this has
of
been going
course,
on for about like 10 years then, right? 10,
a
11.
story. Well, I've been running it for 5 years, but the story still takes place in 2010. It's like been
Okay.
a year, like a game. I have this bad tendency where I'll run a story arc that takes place like a week, and I'll be like, all right, 2 weeks have gone by. Let's do it now. So it's like this like snowball effect with the story that's going on. But I
Mhm.
love it. It's my baby.
So how are you handling the power increase of your characters? Because I know that you start out as a neonate pretty quickly, but depending on how much you
Yeah.
play, and how much time has gone by, you
Yeah.
can find yourself with elder level powers, but still be considered
Yeah.
very neonate in the greater scheme of things.
For sure. For sure. I hand out XP at the end of a story arc. I don't hand it out in game, like during, like after every session. Like I'd be okay, the story's done. You get 3 per session plus 10 for, the story. Here you go, spend it. Um, what I really don't mind the powers because I feel like the powers can like open up the story for me if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like for example, in our third story arc, Dread, we had 2 Nosferatu characters. Well, Nosferatu have obfuscate, which makes it easy for them to sneak around and find shit. And they were able to uncover stuff in the story, which helps me because I have this vast plot. You know what I mean? I don't want to like all shove it in their faces. So like they discover this stuff, which makes the story go. Another example, there's a Tremere who has like no thaumaturgy, but has like good aspects. And he used like telepathy or aura perception. Fuck yeah, let's do this because I'm getting it. So how I handle is I run stories that are more and I don't want to sound like fucking snooty, but like kind of like are more like plot driven than power driven. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Where it's like more about like finding out what's going on around you and kind of like reacting that rather than like, oh, there's a fucking lupine that I gotta go fight. Let me, you know what I mean? So I'm not really
Yeah,
worried about their
figuring
Go
out
ahead.
your meta plot is more important than being able to kill your boss.
Yes,
Because the
yes,
boss isn't really
exactly.
the boss. It's just a character inside of the meta plot. So great, you've killed off one
Yeah.
of the thousands of other things that can possibly take its place.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure. It's almost like if you have some in real life terms, you have some rando dude who has like a bunker full of guns and he's like the most armed motherfucker in the world and no one's gonna come and take his land. But then, someone starts like hacking in his computer, draining his fucking bank accounts, steals his identity. Those guns don't do shit. You know what I mean to that. So he's probably panicking, trying to figure out. That's the kind of story I like to run. It's like who's doing this shit? What the fuck? Or you find a little bit something or a little bit something, and it's like, yeah. And then it's also like their characters. That's like a good part of the plot too. Like, oh, my character is this or has this issue or does this. And, so a lot of it's that. And at least like some, one of my favorite things to say and stuff that I run is like, hey, what's your character think about this? And then we'll have like I feel like a shrink sometimes when we play. Like, so when you say that, does that mean that you think about your father who like brought you back these memories, or does that because you or your mother didn't hug you? No, I don't say, but like has the players like answer these questions about their characters, so like you're like, oh shit, like so that's the kind of shit I like to run there. You know what I mean? And then when a power is used, I fucking love it because then I could describe it. Like I love describing it. Like, oh, let me describe like this shit. Oh, you want to use telepathy? Let me figure out a cool way for you to see inside this person's head and figure out what they're doing or whatever. So
so do you
yes,
when you
sir.
do descriptions, do you do ever writing it down ahead of time, or is it all just off the cuff for you?
What I do is I'll do bullet. Okay, so I'll do bullet points for like an overall story, and then I'll have like a scene planned for each person, in case like I don't want anyone to feel like they're left out. You know what I mean? If I need a scene for someone, okay, I have the scene, and then when the session's done, I'll try to fill that in with another scene. When it comes to describing though, no, I don't write those out per se. I'll write some key things out, but what I really try to do is like use my 5 senses when describing a scene. It's something I learned in the military, like really kind of be like um hyper cute, you know what I mean? Like where you are able to like remember how something smells or how something feels on your hand or even like the smallest details. And I'll try to describe that like carpet or how like walking on gravel you hear like the stones underneath your shoes, like or smelling like cigarette or piss on a carpet from some drunk, or just like really like trying to build that scene because I feel like I'll get as descriptive as I want because I feel like if I do that, then I'm like, okay, scene's on you guys, which is something else I say. That gets the players like, okay, I'm in the scene, rather than just saying, you step in a bar, what are you doing? And they be like, you know what I mean? Like they don't feel like they're in the bar there, So I find that it works for what we do. Maybe some people listen are like, God, shut the fuck up. I don't care about what the walls look like or the carpet smells like. You know what I mean? But it's like what I like to do.
I have to say that from what I've heard, I am really impressed with your off the cuff. I'm aspiring to try and get to that level of
Oh,
being able to describe scenes and a setup for that because I have a lot of meta plot ideas and concepts of just how to be able to wing it and go. I feel like a very good seat of the pants kind of GM. I can run with players all day
mm,
long, and I try and build a train for them to hang out on because I am a little bit of a railroady kind of GM, but it's one of those things
mm.
that if they want to jump off the train, I'm willing to jump with them and run wherever the hell we got to go. But things are happening anyways
You got to
behind.
be real roadie. You got to be railroady a little bit if you have a plot. You know what I mean? You just
Right.
can't be like,
The way I
you know, what are
kind
you
of
gonna do
try and
now? Rob
explain
another
it.
homeless person.
Right. I try and explain it in the sense that I build a train for you to hang out on. It's got multiple cars, there's lots of cool things for you to do, and if you can make your way to the front of the train, you can start hopping tracks and fucking around and stuff like that, which is where most of the players immediately go to. But also, if you want to jump off the train, that's fine. But no, the train's gonna keep going, and I'm gonna try and get you back onto the train eventually, so we can go here.
Yeah.
But in the sense is I'm gonna still follow you around. Just know that there's more than just the train, but that's where all I put all my work. So know that that's where all the detail is. But when it comes to seat of the pants describing of scenes, I find myself majorly lacking. And I really like your suggestion of think of the five senses and try and hit those five senses for them so that they get all of the things they really need.
And also have like a library in your head, like if that makes sense, of places you've been, like places like I can't think of how many times, like a home I explained had some aspects of my grandmother's house that I still think about to this day. You know what I mean? Or like how an apartment complex, low income apartment complex, I'll describe some things from when I lived in when I was a kid. You know what I mean? So it's like these different. You have this. A lot of people don't realize in your head you have this vast library of experiences that you've experienced throughout your whole fucking life, and you can categorize those and you can use those in different things. It was funny. I was listening to an interview with Jim Lee, comic book artist. I used to be in the comics in the '90s, and just happened to find an interview with him, and he was saying about how, like, in the '90s, the comic book artists would always have their moms and their relatives send them old magazines because they would use those as references. Look through them, like if I have to draw a cityscape, if I have to draw a lamppost or whatever. And they said nowadays on online you can just Google. I look at it like that though, like with storytelling, you just use experiences, man. And then just imagine you're there. Like I try to like, I swear to God, man, like time almost like will slow down for me a little bit. Time magic, woohoo! No, I'm joking, but time will slow down a little bit when I'm like, okay, I gotta describe a scene, because then I'll stop and I'll almost like think about, like almost like I'm a camera. Like this is what I see. You know what I mean? This is what I smell. This is what it is all like. And then finally I'm like, okay, here you go. You know, and yeah, and there's times where like a motherfucker will be like, I want to go to blah blah blah. Like, oh shit. I'll just think, okay, I'll take this part of this apartment I used to live in, this part of here, and I'll just kind of like go with it like that, man. And yeah, I love it. That's my favorite thing of storytelling, dude. It's just really because it's storytelling. It's like our medium, man. You know, like people need like, that's a whenever cats are like, oh, dude, I'm about to run a game for my friends and I'm nervous. I'm like, dude, don't be fucking nervous. It's like you're telling a story. This is a medium. You know what I mean? Like these aren't critics, dude. You know what I mean? These are your pals, dude. Just have fucking fun. This is your thing. This is your moment. That's how I view it, at least, and it brings me much joy in my life when I'm able to do it. So
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm one of those people that is, I believe that we're considered rare, but I prefer to run a game than play in it. I love telling a
yeah.
story. I
So
love having a meta plot. I love the whole concept of I get to be the world and then you get to fuck with me.
I talk too much when I play, I found. You know what I mean? I'll get these big grandiose ideas for characters. I'll be like, oh, I got this character. I play this character named Raymond in our Changeling the Lost Vanity story that we have on the podcast. And I was like, put a lot of work in my head. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be a tortured soul. I'm gonna get to like explore like PTSD and abuse survival and all this shit and all this shit. And then I just realized I talked a lot, dude. And there's a moment where I realized, okay, I gotta like back because I listen, I'm like, oh fuck. I'm not storytelling. I gotta shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like so, like so now as a storyteller, like I found like as a player now, I'm kind of learning to like, you know what I mean? Like okay, like step back a little bit. So like, I'm currently playing in our Down Darker Trail story, and I'm playing a Norwegian immigrant, and I'm just like, okay, that's cool reason for me to like not be in the forefront. You know what I mean? I can barely speak English, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna like be that guy. But yeah, I definitely like running better than playing, but I'm enjoying playing though lately too though.
Yeah, I've been finding that more and more lately. I've been enjoying playing in some games. But lately we've stopped our Pathfinder game. I can't wait till, or well, it's
Oh,
Starfinder is what we're doing.
nice.
So it's the future
Sounds epic.
of Pathfinder. You get to play with spaceships and hang out in this crazy solar system.
We've been playing 13th Age, and I've never played a fucking fantasy game before, and like I just hit me that I'm like liking it. I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. And like, there's people in the gang who have like experience like D&D and Pathfinder and all this shit. And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. We need to create level of like one characters because we play in one shots and we have like pre-gens. You know what I mean? Usually it started out, okay, here's a character you can play. I'm like, I just want to create a level 1 character and grind them up, and everyone was like, welcome to like 1983, dude. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's a lot of good games out there to check out, and fantasy I've always loved fantasy. So I was a big The Hobbit got me into fantasy probably more than anything else. Just reading that book like 30 times when I was like 13 I was wanted so bad to get a sword that glowed whenever there were goblins around.
See, I was reading Dune, man, and I tried to read Lord of the Rings, and I don't know. I there's a lot of books I like that. I was a huge Stephen King fan at 13, also like reading like The Stand, like really. I think I like I want to call myself like a horror aficionado or whatever the term is, like a horror master. But I used to love reading like Stephen King at a very young age, you know. And nowadays I read more like nonfiction, not so much fiction like I used to. But yeah, that was my thing when I was a kid. Like, I want to live in a post-apocalyptic world where it's good versus evil, and I want to know what's like. I remember like reading The Stand when I was 13. I got grounded for like 2 weeks during a school strike. My dumbass, I couldn't even go and enjoy the school strike, so I read The Stand, the complete uncut version. I convinced my stepmom to buy the paperback for me at the supermarket. And I remember I'd read it. I'd be, oh man, what would it be like if I went to the mall right now and it was just me and I could like go to the comic store and read all the comics that I can't afford and go play the video games I want to play. And then I'd be like, wait a second, it would kind of suck to be by myself. What would happen when the power would go out? You know what I mean? I used to like daydream about how I would survive, you know? So
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely. The daydreaming of post-apocalyptic world is I feel like that's a theme for a lot of us, that are in our 30s and 40s, right? We lived through this like media phase where the world was going to end in some kind of post-apocalyptic horror, and we continuously heard about it, and then it just never happened,
the funny thing about like yeah, it could still happen. The funny thing is like I used to be into zombie shit when I was a kid, like the George Romero movies, and then the Return of the Living Dead movies and shit like that. So when like I read the Walking Dead comic in Afghanistan. My buddy of mine got the graphic, and I was like, "Oh, check this out! You'll like this." A couple of them, and so when the TV show came on, I was really hyped, because I liked the comic and like the genre or whatever. And I remember like my wife is not like a big like. It's so funny. Like my wife and I, like we have nothing in common when it comes to hobbies. You know what I mean? We think we have common is we have kids with each other. And we love each other, but like she's not into gaming, not into the same kind of shit that I'm into, and we'd watch Walking Dead, and I would just be like, she would like make a joke about like, oh, you'd be so shit out of luck if this happened. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you know what I'm capable of? I'm like, I could do land nav, I could fucking hunt, I can do like, I know how to fire weapon systems. Like, I'll be like explain all this shit. Like, it's just so funny how like our spouse, like my spouse has no idea what I'm capable of in real life. You know what I mean? Like, I will survive and I'll make sure our family is good. I just remember like I got like she's looking at, okay, babe, you know nothing of me. You know nothing about, you don't know this. Like, I can survive.
I've been planning for this since I was born.
She's probably like thinking there's like some bunker in our backyard that I go out to with like a year's worth of ketchup and mustard and baked beans or some shit, like I'm like, no, we'll be good. We'd be good. It's like, okay, babe, fine,
That's great, babe.
Yeah, she's like, you're just good. Like she tells you, go play your nerd games. The like the worst thing. Well, the word, like the stuff that I run. We obviously deal with adult themes and the stuff I run. So like my kids, like they hear I do a podcast, I don't tell them like the name of it or whatever. And I have a 17-year-old and I have a 17-year-old boy, 14-year-old daughter, and an 8-year-old daughter. And so my 14-year-old daughter figured out the name of our podcast, somehow found it on YouTube, and she like thank God she didn't like binge it, but she watched episode of our Hunters Hunted 2 story where Tillman plays this guy named Dr. Gregory Turner, and I play this like Alex Jones kind of like conspiracy theorist dude. I forgot my character's name. And Walter Bodie, that was his name. And so there's a scene where I'm like like Gregory, we might, like, we're role playing. I'm all like trying to convince him to do something, and so my daughter just kind of clipping that, like me going Gregory. So like, like for like the last like 4 fucking years, like whenever they want to make fun of me for being a nerd, they're like Gregory, like my 14-year-old will do that, and I'm like, like go in your closet and play your nerd games. You know what I mean? I'm like, because this is my walk-in closet that I recorded. Anyways, it's just like, yeah, but I love it, and they love it that I'm happy too. So like, maybe
Yeah.
one day when they're 30, they'll listen. They'll be, holy shit, my dad was pretty decent at this, But
You know what's
not
really
now.
interesting? Like this is a really big aside, but it just reminded me of. I mean, you're not quite at the. You have fame definitely, but
Nah, dude.
there's Gene Roddenberry. His son didn't know what Star Trek was.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Are you kidding me, dude?
Like
Oh my
him and
God.
his father didn't get along. His father never
Mm,
talked about work when he came home.
mm.
And at like 17 or something like that is when his dad died. And it wasn't until after his dad had died that he had learned like he had heard about Star Trek, and he knew his dad
Oh,
did Star Trek,
yeah.
but he didn't like look into what Star Trek was or what the hell that meant or anything. And all of a sudden
Oh,
it became
man.
this huge this huge thing that just appeared and like
Jesus.
took over this culture and stuff, and he looked into it and he was like, wow, my dad, like I didn't know who he
Yeah.
was. Like he was at big odds with his dad through his upbringing and stuff
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. And so it was one of those big eye-opening things where he was like, "Oh my God, like I went back and I saw all this
That's
crazy stuff. I got to
intense.
learn who my dad was after he died."
Ah, that's intense, dude. Oh man, that's intense. Talk about, yeah, Jesus. I talk about IPs. At least he didn't try to cash in on it like Frank Herbert's son. I hate talking about people like that. I don't want to like come across that I'm like shit talking, but man, those Dune preludes written by his son are just fucking horrible, man. Like, anyways, I didn't mean to digress there, but yeah, man. Oh, that's rough. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe my kids will listen one day. I look at that's how again, not to sound pretentious, man, but like, and I have no fame, by the way, but I appreciate you say that. But I don't, but like, what I'm just happy about is like I could be creative and that people listen. That's like the best thing about like doing all this shit is just like, I don't make any money from it, dude. Just having the motherfucker be like, I I listened to it. I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? And you're thinking, oh man, this person like, or when a person's like, I'm binging your stuff. I'm like, fuck, dude, this person's like binging my stuff like I binge TV shows. With my wife at night. You know what I mean? It's like it's this weird like feeling where like it's kind of ego, but it's kind of like because I don't want to say like I don't create this for anyone's approval. Like well, yeah, you create because it's part of you, but you also want to hear a motherfucker enjoy it. You don't want to hear someone be like, "You suck, dude. Why are you doing this?" So like, it feels good to like hear it, man. And it's like this weird little dopamine hit anytime someone says that. You know what I mean? And it's so
Hmm.
funny because like being like how we are with our podcast, like we're not like we interact with our listeners and we have like a Discord and but we're not like personalities, or like influencers or whatever. So like I think like a lot of people like with like Twitch streams like LA by Night or Critical Role or what I mean, big ones like that people feel like they're part of something, so they get more interaction with their viewer base. Where with a podcaster, like we always joke, man, we're like surprised by our download numbers because like like our listener base is usually quiet, but randomly you'll just get a pop-up like a mole. I'm binging your shit, cool. And then it go down, you know what I mean? Or someone will pop up like, I love this new episode, cool. And they just pop down, but it's like it's really awesome when it happens, man. So yeah, it's the difference between being a podcaster and a Twitch streamer, I guess.
Yeah, I
And it
guess.
sounds like that's not
Oh,
something you're looking to do. Is be a celebrity in the gaming world. You're just fine
Nah,
where
dude,
you are now.
I'm fine where I'm at now, dude. I like, well, I mean, okay. Let me. I wouldn't be completely honest. I just left it at that. Like, I'm a. I'm gonna. This is a clear, honest moment. I like a lot of other people. I'm a prideful person. You know what I mean? And I have this weird like two sides of me when it comes to like the podcasting. One is like I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, but another's like I want the respect that I think I'm due kind of thing. I don't want to be like a celebrity. I don't want to be an influencer. I don't want to be like anything like that. I like social media makes me anxious sometimes, dude. You know what I mean? Like I've
mhm.
shut down my Twitter. I just have my Facebook. I don't like this what it brings out of me sometimes. You know what I mean? I don't like what I see of people sometimes. But then there's another part of me is like, hey, I put in work in this game. You know what I mean? I put in 5 fucking years in this shit. You know, like I put in a lot of learning to edit, constantly running stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like we are due a little bit of respect, you know, for doing that. You know what I mean? By people in the scene. That
Absolutely.
so there's this weird conundrum, you know what I mean? I'd be dishonest if I said like, hey, I don't want acknowledgement, you know, but I'd be honest when I say I don't want to be like a fame or celebrity or anything like that. I just want when someone's like, what's a good podcast? Boom, these motherfuckers, they've been around. And I think nowadays with the content creating scene in World of Darkness, a lot of it's flash and not, you know what I mean? And not like, I don't want to say substance because they have substance too, but a lot of it's like, oh, look at them, they're bright and flashy, and people who've put in the work who are doing good quality stuff maybe are at notice as much because they don't present themselves that way, you know. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
John and I
hustle.
have talked about this a bunch of times, where it's like a lot of the let's plays that are coming out, or the actual plays, uh,
yeah,
it starts with people wanting to be famous, and the gaming is secondary to it.
yeah,
Whereas a lot of the ones that have currently been around for a long time, like yours, it's always been about the gaming, and any fame
yep.
or recognition that comes out of it is because of the quality of it, not because you guys are engaged in what we refer to as the hustle, which is what a lot of those
Yeah,
people.
not a oh yeah, and that's the thing. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you fucking said that because that is a really fucking prevalent thing in the scene is the hustle now. And a lot of people who consume actual play content don't know that. They don't know that like a lot of these people, like when V5 came out, there are so many motherfuckers that came out of the woodwork. Like, we're doing V5 APs. Like, where were you before? You know what I mean? Like, who are you? And the worst thing that pissed me off a lot was that some of them name dropped my podcast to look legitimate. You know what I mean? Like, they'd be in interviews and they'd like, oh, we just want to be like da da da, and like, okay, but then they don't like give you a shout out when they, you know what I mean, on their social media. They just want to look legitimate, dude. And it's a hustle. A lot of motherfuckers are trying to get paid, dude. That's a lot of people want to get paid with their hobby. I'm not faulting them for that, but that's not why we started. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
you know, we have a Patreon where it's like, give whatever you want. You know what I mean? And we don't put anything behind a fire. We get $32 a month. You know what I mean? We're not like, it's not to pay our hosting fees. And then we upgraded all of our mics. You know, we're like, damn, what do we do with this? Like $32 a month. Like, well, like we have like $100. Let's see if we can get advertising on something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But there's a lot of hustle to that. Yeah, there is. And again, I'm not faulting them. Like, I'm not saying they're like bad people for doing that, but that's just not my ride. And the thing that annoys me is like, I'll be honest, if someone's like, hey, I want to get paid for doing this. Like, someone's like, okay, cool. And I have friends who do that. But there's motherfuckers who love to throw that term community around to hide the fact that they're trying to get paid by these people. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Mhm.
we're a community, we're a big happy family, community. When they're trying to like get the dollar, you know what I mean? Trying to tug dollars from these people's wallets, you know, with that term. So anytime someone throws community around, sometimes I'm usually like really hesitant. I'm like, okay, what are you trying to get from me? You know what I mean? We can be pals, we can be in the same atmosphere, but you know, not living in a hippie commune, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like when we kind of came into this, I mean, me and Mike have kind of talked about this. How like I don't think I ever want to get to the level of fame. Like not that it's possible, but even if it was, I wouldn't want to be. I don't want to walk outside my house and have paparazzi flashing shit at me. I never wanted to
Fuck
aspire to
no,
that
dude.
kind of level of fame. But we've talked
No.
about it in the sense that I would love to go to Gen Con and for just have a random person to come up to me and be like, you're Josh, you do Crossing Darkness
Yeah.
podcast, or you run this game, and I
Yeah.
love what you do. And we've got a little bit
Yeah.
of that from our running of Gen Con events, and that was some of the coolest stuff.
That's
Was
right.
after running a game with somebody at Gen Con that you've never known, you never hung out with them before, and then all of a sudden you run into them at a random bar at Gen Con, after you're done playing, and all of a sudden you're hanging out and you're talking, and you just have like random events that kind of happen to you because you're a GM. Like one of my proudest moments was, just running into a random person outside of a hotel and doing a GM of just you look like a GM. Let's play a game here. I got a 20-sided dice. I was like, yeah, let's just make up a whole bunch of shit real quick here and have fun.
Wow. And you have a hard time making up scenes on the spot. If someone did that to me, I'd be like, "Grr," like I don't know what to do. I'd lose the dice in the gutter and fucking like make it awkward, man.
So I'm great at seat of the pants running. I'm just not at the descriptions,
Yeah.
like the senses, like giving you that full immersion of where you're in, and that I
Maybe
so aspire to what you do.
um, maybe our podcast will help you out,
Mhm.
hopefully, We'll
Yeah, I'm
see.
definitely looking forward to getting that mindset of the five senses, and I'm looking forward to actually going back and listening to your podcasts and like looking specifically for that to try and help with that kind of concept of how do I immerse people
If you want
into the
one,
scene.
yeah. If you want one, it's funny because I didn't realize this until Tillman told me this. He always recommends for people who want to get like a idea of what our vibe is, our tone is by recommending the Ghouls Fatal Addiction miniseries I ran called Servitude. It's only like 6 episodes. So yeah, if you want you like check that out, it's a short story. You know what I mean? It's kind of like so you don't have to listen to like 30 some episodes of like a major story arc to get a view. But that's something I'm really proud of. Where I kind of like took a lot of inspirations from shit I was reading at the time. Like who's that dude who wrote American Psycho, man? God damn it, dude.
Oh,
Sorry, it's getting late here. I can't remember his name.
I feel like I should know that.
I know. I like it. God dang it, dude. Anyways, I took inspiration from his like writing style and like especially that book for that game, dude. So I was able to like try to do a lot of the descriptions. I've only read that book once. I'll never read that book again. I'll tell you what, if you haven't read American Psycho, be very, very, very prepared if you do read it,
Oh,
that it's very
Brett
fucked
Easton
up.
Ellis.
Brett
yeah,
Brett.
I was looking at the chat and I was like, Terry's gonna put it in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Terry says that you're going to become famous as soon as you do the Mage
Oh Jesus!
actual
I'm gonna
play.
become, dude.
You know,
Oh yeah.
Terry's trying to be in that game,
Yeah,
got it.
Jesus. Man, yeah, man. Like, hey, they got number time. I'm only 43, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it'll happen sooner or later, man. I would love to have gray hair and be doing this still, Like,
I'm so looking forward to being 80 years old and being like, yes, I am the ancient storyteller that used to play in the 90s. Yes,
have a
the
big pipe.
90s.
The 90s back when people sang about what was that Agua song? I can't remember. With this bad European techno music that everyone listened to, like Barbie Girl.
Back when we
I
had that
hate
screeching, yelling modem whenever we connected to the internet, and when you were looking at pornography, it would get to the boobs and you would be happy, but then there would be a penis.
Oh Jesus! I've never experienced that, but I could tell that you've been scarred from it, man. So I understand. Back when you had to use your imagination a lot. Like I saw a funny meme where they're talking about like phones, and they're like phones before porn, and they had it where they were big getting smaller, and then they said, and then there's a line in the middle that said phones after porn, and the phones started getting bigger, again. Or after phones after porn could be on them, and they start getting bigger. Again. It's like, yeah, that makes perfect fucking sense. On that note. Oh
Awesome.
man.
Well, I think we're quite deep into the almost into about an hour and
Yeah,
a
we're almost
half
at
or
2
so.
hours.
Yeah.
So
My wife's probably about to kill me.
we'll start wrapping this up here. Is there anything before we go though? Any current projects that you want to talk about or shout outs that you want to give before we end this?
I just want to shout out the Twin Cities by Night gang. You can follow us on Twitter at twin_cities_VTM. Where you can see just like up to date information for us. You can also find us on Facebook at Twin Cities by Night. We have a Discord where you can find the link on either of those. Jump on in if you have questions. We all 10 of us are on there. Currently, what we got going on. So currently on our lineup, we have Monster Hearts 2, Fuck Mary Kill, yeah, Fuck Mary Kill, which is ran by Tillman, and it has Becca, Joreen, and Monica playing in it. They're a great duo. They're a great group who did Eclipse Phase. I think before asking if you guys listen to that, good chemistry that they have all together. Then we have our Call of Cthulhu Down Darker Trails Missouri Crossing story ran by Craig with me, Monica, and Joaquin playing in it. It's tied to like the we call like our stuff like Northern Horror sometimes because it takes place like in North Dakota and Minnesota, and it's kind of like tied into like the Vampire the Masquerade continuity. At least that's what Craig says, and going to be in the Ultimate Evil continuity because eventually the story's going to get to Bismarck, North Dakota. And then we have my Chronicles of Darkness, Ultimate Evil institutionalized story going on. It takes place in 1987, deals with like the Satanic Panic, and then finally it got my Vampire the Masquerade Eidolon, Twin Cities by Night Eidolon story, which is a duet story where Adam plays a Giovanni in the Twin Cities by Night continuity. So check it out. We release every week. Yeah, and yeah. Fuck yeah. Like
Yeah.
that, yeah. It's
Yeah,
like,
shoot
I
me
can't think
shoot
of
me
anything.
over those links, and then I'll make sure to have that as well on the podcast so people can just go straight to your stuff here. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys do more, and really hope that when Gen Con is back in person, that you eventually come to Gen Con, and we, we, I would love to play in one of your games. Like that would just be
Oh
epic.
man. Yeah, no pressure. No, just like, yeah. Well, I'll just drink too many Pepsis and run down the street naked, man. That probably happens already at Gen Con, I'm sure, though.
It's not Pepsi, but yeah, it happens.
But now Pepsi, yeah. All right, man. Well, this was a pleasure, and thank you everyone for watching. I didn't see the comments, so but thank you. I didn't pull that stuff up, so yeah.
Hey, next time.
Appreciate everyone watching who watched.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the
All
show
right.
here. And so I'm just going to give a couple shout outs here real quick for the ending is definitely check out the Twin Cities podcast. Really great actual plays that you can check out. Really well edited. We aspire to get to that level of editing if we ever edit ever again. And then you definitely check out Midnight Express podcast. They really got me into wanting to do podcasts after I came onto their show. Really great stories.
Podcast. God damn.
I love those guys.
Were you on that? You were on that?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I
man,
talked
dude.
about
That Aussie voice talking about.
Yeah, we talked about our Madison Under Siege campaign, the running at Gen Con, the crazy 40 table or 40 person 4-table at Gen Con event that we ran. So I talked to him about that. It was really awesome. I think I was on there twice.
Can I just say one thing about that podcast? Before I even ran Twin Cities by Night, when I was getting back into Vampire, he's one of the few podcasts that made me want to like run something. And big shout outs to him. I never told him that, so love that podcast, man. Listening to it got my fire lit for Vampire.
Yeah, it's so well done. I love it. His voice is also he's got an enchanting voice, I feel. So
yeah. One of those like cultured voices I wish I had.
And definitely check out Utility Muffin Labs. They have some really great podcasts that they're putting out right now. Also check out the World of Dark Ages podcast and Mage the podcast. Some really great podcasts out there for you to check out.
Oh, yeah.
And if you enjoy what we're doing here, go ahead, follow us on our podcast or on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Instagram is just a bunch of my cats. That's if you like cat pics and watching two cats cuddle with each other. Whenever I catch them cuddling, I'm like, okay, you're going on Instagram. You're gonna help pay the rent one day. And awesome, yeah. So yeah, check us out.
And don't forget to tune into our Mage the Ascension game, Technogate, on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time on Twitch at twitch.tv/Golden Age Stories. And remember, that's Golden spelled Guldan.
Awesome.
Man, you guys got badass radio voices, man.
We have been complimented on that. I love every time I hear that. I'm like, aw. Maybe I should have gotten.
I always wanted to get into voice acting, but
you sound like the co-host of Mage the podcast, the guy who hosts with Terry. I can't remember his fucking name. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Adam.
You sound a lot like him. Adam, that's who it is.
Adam's the radio guy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Fun times. Oh, he put it in the chat. Adam, thank you.
Executive produced by Terry.
And what are we doing?
We have Terry in the chat every Sunday night.
That's nice.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome.
All right, gents. Well, I got to get going here. So it was nice talking to you guys, and let's do this again sometime, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for watching, and you guys have a great night.
Hail
All right, good night,
Satan. I'm
everybody.
joking.